I became a father 3 years ago. That's my son, Andre. Yes, taking a walk. He was born in Maryland when we lived there. And I got to tell you, it is not fair what dads do compared to moms. That was my immediate realization when I had a child. I was like, something's not right. Like, I put in 2 minutes of effort 9 months earlier, and she did everything else. Like, I was just like, God, I don't know what you were thinking when you created this process. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. And even at this stage, I'm not doing anything. She's doing everything. So, I kind of went through this process at the beginning thinking, okay, so what do dads actually do? What is our purpose? Yeah. So here's some statistics. So children raised with a father in the home are 80% less likely to spend time in jail. It's pretty good. Hey, I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. My kids haven't been to jail yet, so it's good. Kids who are close to their fathers are 50% less likely to have issues with depression. Fatherless homes account for more than $154 billion in annual government spending. So that's, supporting single moms, welfare systems, stuff like that. So it's a big stress on the economy, actually, to not have a father in the house. And mothers who raise their kids without fathers are more likely to have mood disorders and issues with substance abuse. So it's not just a benefit to the kids, but it's a benefit to the moms as well to have a father in the home. Yes. So, sorry, my notes just went somewhere else. Apple. Yeah, there's no notes here. I just have my game on. I'm just kidding. So, actually, not everybody gets to be a father. And I realized that that's something that we're actually very blessed to have, the opportunity to be fathers. And actually, it's interesting. When I was in middle school, I had a friend who we were good friends in middle school. His name was Mark. And then after middle school, I didn't really see him again. I kind of came into contact with him a little bit. But anyway, we kind of drifted. And he was actually killed in an accident maybe like 6 years ago. And even though this is moving on its own. Even though I didn't really keep in contact with him, somehow I felt inspired to go to his funeral when he died. And I don't know why. I was there. It was a good experience. Yeah, I saw his sister, and she was like, "Oh, thanks for coming." Da da da. And this morning, when I was sitting here in the pre-service time, I kind of felt out of nowhere, felt like he was talking to me for some reason and telling me, you're a dad, be grateful. I never got to have that experience. So it was kind of interesting. Yes, so be grateful of your father, even though your kids can be nuts sometimes. This morning, Yuri was like, yeah, please be here at 9:30. We prepare everything. I was like, okay. At 9 o'clock, I'm like, hey, I got to go. It's 30 minutes away. My kids are still asleep. Then at 9:30, I'm like, let's go. One of them poops his pants. So it's just really I was like, this is fatherhood. This is perfect for my sermon this morning. Yes. So there's 3 things that I kind of think about when I think of the essence of fatherhood. And the first thing is inheriting a legacy. So as I was saying before, what do dads do? What do we actually contribute to the family, other than at the beginning? So I was thinking there has to be something deeper, right? So this is my dad. He's probably not watching. He's in Italy right now, visiting his own dad. That's me when I was a little baby. That's probably my dad's hometown. Some festival or something. Yeah, so this is my dad. He's very Italian. You can barely understand what he's saying when he talks. So very, very Sicilian, very traditional Sicilian. And yes, he's a good man, a very, very good man. Always took care of us, always did what was best and what was right. He introduced me to a lot of things that I love, soccer, fishing, these kinds of things. And, you know, when I think about inheriting a legacy, I think about, well, okay, what is it that I inherited from my own dad? So, you know, when you go to job interviews and people say, oh, what are your strengths? You know, and you're like, oh, I work hard, I don't know. You know, I never know what to say in those situations. But recently I was kind of thinking about that. And I realized, actually, some of my great strengths in my own life are discipline. I feel like I'm a very disciplined person, actually. Like, I'm able to wake up very early and go exercise and do what I need to do and, you know, stay on schedule and kind of know, okay, these are my priorities, I need to do them. And I don't really have trouble doing that for whatever reason. I know a lot of people have issues sticking to kind of a schedule or exercising or doing whatever they need to do. I knew I was always a very hardworking person. All my bosses are like, oh, you're great, please stay, you know. That guy is the worst, but you're great. And I felt that I'm always a person who has very strong integrity in my morals, especially my values. And I'm able to kind of see black and white and, okay, this is wrong, this is right, I'm going to stick to it, you know. And I realized as I was thinking about that, a lot of that actually comes from my father. My father is very much that kind of person. And, you know, even though he could be kind of scary sometimes, immigrants can be scary. You never know what they're going to throw at you if they get upset. But, you know, he was a very good man, and those qualities are very strong in him. And I felt that those qualities came out in me as well. So it made me think, you know, how do I want to raise my own children as a father? 3-0? Let's go. Wow, I'm not stressed at all anymore. 3. Amazing. Okay, so, sorry if anybody here is from Saudi Arabia. So I started to think of what do I want to leave my own children? And of course, as a father who's invested in the community and the movement, I think, well, I want my kids to know true parents. I want them to know God. How do I do that? You know, the world is full of challenges and filth and, you know, all kinds of things that stray us away from God and from that lifestyle. And as I was thinking about it, you know, I kind of think, I don't want to shelter my kids from the problems in the world. Actually, I don't think that's very productive. In fact, I feel the opposite. I want my kids to experience the issues in the world, you know, to an extent. They don't need to be somewhere where there's, you know, violence or anything like that. But, you know, I want to raise my kids in a way where they're given the strength and the confidence to face the challenges of the fallen world and to overcome those challenges and really take ownership over their faith, ownership over their relationship with God, with true parents, with their morals, living a principled life. So, you know, I've thought, that's maybe how I came up, in a sense. And where did I learn that? From my own father. So inheriting a legacy, your kids inheriting the legacy of their fathers, you know, it comes from setting the example for your kids. So if I want my children to be that way, I have to be that way. I have to show the example. I have to show, okay, when I go through challenges, this is how I react. This is how I treat the people around me. You know, these are, when there are certain things that I'm faced that are maybe morally wrong, how do I react to it? You know, do I keep my integrity? So my children are watching, and my son, my oldest son, he's 3, he's walking around and talking, saying all kinds of things that I'm shocked at when he says. You know, he picks up a lot of what I say, what I do, and I become more aware, you know, maybe I need to put my sailor language behind me and you know, treat things more seriously, because I'm now in this position as a father where I'm leaving a legacy that my children are inheriting. And if I want them to inherit the legacy of true parents, of the principle of God, then I need to live that legacy within myself, right? Yes, Jew. Yeah, and if you're not a father yet, it's not too early to start building those habits. So if anyone here is not a father or even a husband yet, it's never too early to start with that, right? Jew. Yes. So the next thing is sacrifice. And this is a big one. And I couldn't understand this when I was little, the sacrifice that my own dad, you know, did for us. My father, moving to America from a nice, comfortable Sicilian town, joining the church, all these things, you know, seeing what he did compared to his siblings. No disrespect to his siblings, they're great. But it's very sacrificial. It's very giving. My dad had to teach in a terrible school system. He had to wrestle a gun away from a kid one time in the middle of class. It was very tough for him, and I could see that growing up. And, at the time, it's like, oh, why is he in such a bad mood? But now I recognize, oh, he was really giving everything. So for us, to have a good life, to be in a good position. And yes, so we have the 3 great blessings: be fruitful, multiply, have dominion. But I would say it's be fruitful, sacrifice, and have dominion. I think multiply is really God just saying, please sacrifice your life so that you can raise these little monsters to become good people and grow to know me and to know what being happy is in life, right? And there's thousands of examples I could use with that. I mean, we have a nice TV in my house, and I'm like, the World Cup is on. I'm going to watch games, and lo and behold, I'm in the corner with my phone watching a game while my son is watching, Bluey or whatever he wants to watch. The Parent Trap for the 600th time. The Emperor's New Groove, whatever it is. So that's sacrifice, right? And just the other night, my youngest son, for no reason whatsoever, decided that at 1 a.m. it was time to wake up and be wide awake and look out the window and point at things and be excited and run around and happy. And my wife was like baking cakes for people, and I was sleeping. I had to wake up early in the morning. And, I mean, classic parenting, but sacrifice, it's amazing. It's really, be fruitful and multiply is nonsense. It's be fruitful and sacrifice, I think the translation got wrong from Korean to English. There's never time to relax, right? Never, ever time to relax. But one thing that I think sacrificing through fatherhood has taught me is patience, right? You have to be patient when you're trying to get out the door and your son poops his pants. You have to be patient when he's learning to speak and he's, it's, what do you want, It's, you have to be patient and open your heart to where they're at in their lives because you're raising them up. And you have to be patient with their development and learning what's right. What's right, what's wrong. No, don't do that again. It's like, oh, you did it again. You looked at me and then did it even though I said no. So we're teaching my son to potty train right now, and it's good. He knows how to pee in the toilet. He's really good about that. But he went through this period a couple weeks ago where he was afraid to poop. And I didn't know that was a thing until I heard other people saying, sometimes kids, it's scary to poop in the toilet for the first time. And he didn't poop for 5 days or something ridiculous like that because he was so scared. Even though you could see it in his face, he's he needs to poop, but he's refusing to do it. And then finally, we had a diaper on him, and he was crying, he just couldn't hold it anymore. And my wife and I are like, you can do it, you can do it, please, you can do it, we love you. And I'm sitting there thinking, never thought this would be a problem I'd ever be facing in my life. There's taxes, there's traffic, but my son not wanting to poop his pants, even though he has to, it's just, I never thought that would be something that I'd have to experience. So, but it's a part of it, right? It's a part of fatherhood, the good, the bad. Yes, and the third thing is love. So here's a quote from one of my favorite actors, Denzel Washington. When that first one is born, you instantly understand the difference between making a living and a life. Acting used to be life. It became a way to make a living. Those little ones, that's life. So I think that really rings true to me. Lost my notes again. It's still 3-0? Okay, perfect. Even though parenting is full of sacrifice, it's worth every single minute, right? Every 5 steps of sacrifice is worth the 1 step of love and joy that you're able to give to your children, you're able to receive back from your children. And at the end of the day, the best thing I can do as a father is give that conditional love, unconditional love to my children. Be patient with them. Take them by the hand, show them how to do things. Hold his hand when he's crying at night because he's scared for no reason at all. So showing that love, to me, I feel is the culmination of all the sacrifice, all the lineage, everything that you're giving to your children. And one thing I've started to kind of experience in my own life, I have a lot of hobbies. Growing up as a kid, I like to hunt, fish, do all kinds of stuff, outdoor things, play sports. And I'm seeing that kind of come out in my own children. My oldest son, we're watching this show now. Some of you might be familiar. It's called Outdoor Boys. It's this guy who lives in Alaska, and he just takes his kids out on adventures. Makes me super jealous. And my son is really into it. Like, we watch it together, and they're catching fish and everything. And he seems to be inheriting kind of the outdoors hobby side of me. And he likes going out in the garden. We have chickens. We have a garden. He likes being out there planting things, picking peppermint, stuff like that. And the other day, we were sitting there watching this TV show, and he's just sitting next to me. He's like, "Dada, can we go and do that?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. We'll do that." And then the coolest thing ever, he suddenly went towards the TV and got on top of this furniture toy and was getting really close to the TV. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I want to go in the TV. I want to do that." I was like, "Oh, wow." It's a silly little thing, but it really made me feel like, wow, my son is inheriting things that I love, and I can, it's beautiful. I can express that love with him and go in the TV, and then in that moment, the only thing I wanted to do was put my son in the TV. I was like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I can't transcend space like that. So that was really cool, to have that experience. And one last thing, that I feel might be the biggest thing in parenting that I think has helped me grow in fatherhood is I have had a lot more compassion for people. When you grow up and you see people do bad things or someone annoy you on the street or someone bully you or whatever it might be, have a bad experience with another human being, it's easy to be like, that guy stinks or whatever. Have a bad feeling about a certain person. But I felt like the moment I became a father, I started to look at every person as a little baby. This person who's, being a bad person and being challenging, they just used to be a cute little baby, and something happened along the way, whether it's just that day, they're just having a bad day, or they had a really tough life, and this is kind of, this is an example. The other day, for no reason at all, I was looking at the life of a serial killer. One that's actually from this area. I'm not going to name the name, but he's old. Some of you might know. And it's awful what this person did. Obviously, he killed a lot of people. But I read on the background of his life, and actually his life was very difficult. He had a very difficult time with his own father. He'd really seemed like he had a challenging experience being raised. And I felt compassionate. I felt sad for this person that he had to go through such a thing, even though it turned him into a terrible, terrible human being. But I felt this sense of sadness for this person having to go through that. And 3 years ago, I would have never felt that. I'd been like, man, if that guy goes in my house, no way. I'd still do that, obviously, but, I felt that different heart towards this person. And I feel that now more. I was raised in the East Coast, so I have East Coast tendencies when I'm driving in traffic. I like to show people my favorite finger if they piss me off. But now it's a lot better. Now I think, okay, that person's just having a bad day, whatever. I can be more patient. I can be more understanding. And I owe that to my children. I owe that to fatherhood. So, that to me is one of the things that I feel is the essence of what children can teach you, right? They teach you patience. They teach you love. and they teach you how to be compassionate towards other people. So, yes, in conclusion, God has given us the opportunity as fathers to live in his image and to experience the joys of a parental heart. So, it's a blessing, it's an honor, and it's something to really be grateful for and be happy about. So, yes, I thank you, everybody. Please enjoy your Father's Day. Adieu.